for your service. Now I'll give you my backhand. My winner whizzes down the line. Betting weekly tennis live. Are you ready for it? Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Betting Weekly Tennis Live in association with Bet Rivers. I'm Rory Jawani. With me is Tim Dennis. We've got in-play men's tennis action to bring you from Athens and Metz, plus the WTA finals in Riyadh. And we'll be looking forward to some of tomorrow's action as well. Tim, how are you doing this evening?
Hi, Rory. Yeah, good to see you. I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, just catching up with the end of the women's game. Sabalenka just got 2 match points as we speak, so she looks like she's going to come through a tough match. And I think she was a breakdown in this final set, so she's actually sort of done well to turn it around. But yeah, looking good for her. And yeah, nice to see you, Rory, as well. You're a man in form.
Oh, well, yeah, we had a good finish to the, I say finish, obviously we've got the WTA finals, but on Betting Weekly WTA, we had a good week of the regular WTA tour. Victoria Mboko winning in Hong Kong and Kimberly Burrell, one of Nigel's picks, reaching the final in Chennai. But Mboko was a joint pick, so we had a couple of points each way on her. So that was a nice result, which made the profit and loss. It has made the profit and loss a little bit more respectable. And Nigel has picked Elena Rybakina for WTA finals. I've gone for Jessica Pegula. And she was looking good early in the decider there against Aryna Sabalenka. But as usually happens when these two meet, Sabalenka just managed to find a way. So I think Sabalenka's she's now 2 out of 2, isn't she? So I think she's already qualified.
Yeah, I think she has. And then Goff will play Pegula for the final spot. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So that will be in a couple of days' time. Let's have a look at the in-play action happening right now. Starting Athens, Novak Djokovic up against Alejandro Tabilo. The veteran Serbian was minus 500, minus $5 at the start. He's the same price now. He's just about to hold for 3 apiece. It has gone with serve so far. Djokovic is actually at 40-15, 2-3. He did have a couple of break points in the opening game, but Tabilo saw them off. And as I speak, it's 40-30 on the Djokovic serve, 2-3. He's minus 435, Tabilo plus 310. The spread is 3.5 games and totals 23.5, so pretty high at the start there. So that's Athens. The other tournament is in Metz, an all-Italian fair, which has just got underway. And Flavio Cobolli has already broken Lorenzo Sonego in the opening game. He was minus 139 at the start. He's now minus 275 against Sonego, who is plus 210. The spread is 3.5 games, totals 22.5. Tim, any view on these two matches? And can you tell us anything about the conditions in Athens and Metz?
Yeah, well, I think of the 2 of the indoor tournaments on the men's side this week, I think Athens is the quickest of the 2, but I don't think it's as quick as expected early on in the week. It's probably medium pace. It's certainly a long way from being quick. Plenty of breaks to serve. I mean, you have a few tie breaks as you'd have in many tournaments, but it's certainly not on the quick side. More medium pace, whereas Metz is a little bit slower again, probably a little bit more high bouncing too, and that's probably why. I mean, he's only up an early break, but that should sort of suit the way Cobolli likes to play. And Sonego, he's probably played a fair bit of tennis. He had a marathon match there against Medvedev in Paris last week, and he played 3 sets already yesterday. So that early break, certainly not a good sign. I'm not going to say it's going to spell curtains quite at this early stage, but yeah, a poor start for Sonego to get off to losing his serve so early.
Yeah, it certainly is. We'll check back in with those two in-play matches a little bit later on. Let's look at tomorrow's matches in the WTA finals in Riyadh. And Elena Rybakina, she's already won the group after a spectacular performance against Iga Swiatek. She was a set down and then just dropped one game in the last two sets. So that's 2 out of 2, and she's won the group. Keys is already out despite winning her first set of the event yesterday against Amanda Anisimova. And you can see the odds there. Rybakina minus 420, Keys plus 320, spread 4.5 games, totals 20.5. They're square on the head-to-head, 3 apiece. Rybakina won their last meeting in Cincinnati in August. Keys beat Rybakina on the way to winning the Australian Open. But Tim, I suppose there might be a question mark over certainly Keys' motivation as she's already out. She has looked a bit rusty because she hadn't played since the US Open. Is this a match you can get stuck into with any kind of confidence?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not sure what you think, Roy. Is there a small doubt Keys will even take the court tomorrow? Obviously, she's out already. I don't think she was quite 100% healthy. She didn't shake hands with Anisimova there yesterday because she said she didn't want to sort of pass anything on to her. So she's clearly under the weather, and whether she's giving it every chance, I guess we'll find out tomorrow. But if she doesn't decide to play, I think obviously Andreeva's ready to step in. But again, it doesn't really matter for Rybakina. So, I mean, we were a little bit of small pickings to go on, but these sort of two matches were the two sort of bets I found for the day. But yeah, they're fairly uneventful and fairly sort of straightforward bets to make up a double today. But hopefully we can find something, and certainly some winners in there amongst. But this Rybakina Keys match, definitely one for very, very small stakes without it meaning too much, I think.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Moving on to a complete opposite, winner takes all in the second match, Iga Swiatek against Amanda Anisimova. Whoever wins this match takes second spot in the group, so makes it through to the semi-finals. Swiatek minus $2, Amanda Anisimova plus 163. The spread 3.5 games and totals 21.5. Just the two meetings, of course, this year. Swiatek double bageling Anisimova in this year's Wimbledon final, but the American exacted revenge in the US Open quarterfinals. I mean, Anisimova hasn't looked great so far, but if you looked at Swiatek's capitulation, for want of a better word, against Rybakina, you wouldn't be overly keen on that minus $2, would you?
No, I think it looks short enough at first glance to me. I mean, obviously, we both know about the two matches they've played against each other this year, but obviously the one that's came on the hard court, the US Open there, where Anisimova sort of got back into it. I think she led the service points, 1 return points at their totals 110 to 90. So a very convincing winning. And a big stat from the match that day was Anisimova won 52% of her second serve points won, compared to just 33% for Iga, and funny enough, Iga won just 33%, the same figure on her second serves against Rybakina yesterday. So I think this is where the match is going to be won and lost. I think Anisimova, if she can find that sort of return game, and I think we probably can give her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. She obviously didn't play for the best part of a month coming in here, having won the title in Beijing, took a little bit of time off, and she looked a little bit rusty, didn't she, in her early matches? And I think she was certainly sort of down on herself yesterday against Keys, but then managed to find a bit of form and sort of found the slot on both wings. So I think we'll see the best we've seen of her this week tomorrow. And I think plus 163 is a little bit of a big price. The bet I did like, and it is a short price, but I mean, we're going to tie it in with a double to try and get a bit of plus money, try and sort of solid things up a little bit. Was Anisimova just to win a set was minus 155, which I thought was probably a fair enough price, really, because I think we saw Iga here when sort of Rybakina found her form there yesterday, that the quick conditions just rush her a little bit. I know she's shown decent form in these quick conditions this year, probably the best she has in her career, actually. But I think she still just looked a little bit rushed at times against Rybakina yesterday, and I think Anisimova can perhaps do the same thing to her here tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, it's been well documented, hasn't it, with Swiatek, that forehand of hers, you know, if it does come under pressure, it can fall apart, especially if you've got a hard hitter. Sometimes she gets a bit cramped for room and there's a bit of a long take back, and, you know, it's a shot that sometimes can fall apart a bit, the Swiatek forehand. And if it's going to, it will be in quick conditions, and it will be against someone who's a big ball striker like Anisimova, I guess.
Yeah, quite. I mean that Rybakina match yesterday, I wouldn't say she gifted Iga the first set, but obviously she lost her opening service game to sort of go 2-0 down, and then she was fighting an uphill battle, and Iga managed to hold serve to take the set. But I mean, after that, I mean, like you said, it was just one-way traffic. Obviously, she won 12 of the next 13 games, Rybakina, and just a complete demolition job. And we did actually see something pretty similar with Paolini, didn't we? Doing the same thing to Iga, which I mean, I certainly don't recall seeing too often. So definitely a few question marks for her. And I think in these conditions, I think Anisimova starting to find her feet. I thought she was a little bit of a big price, but yeah, just looking to sort of tie double in, I thought a little bit on the safe side. But yeah, plus 1.5 sets at -155 was kind of the bet I wanted to take out of this match to try and find a double. Because we managed to get the daily double up last week, going for slightly sort of more selective selections, shall we say. And yeah, this would be one of those two with no point in having one winner double, is there?
Exactly. So a conservative pick for Tim, Amanda Anisimova to win a set against Iga Swiatek at -155.
I should just tie it in, Roy, with the other women's game there. The other sort of part of the daily double was, again, a short price. It's under 2.5 sets in the Keys Rybakina game. I think it's -250. But if those two tied together, the parlay does pay +131, and I'd be fairly confident that whoever wins that first set will win the second set tomorrow. Because if Keys wins it, Rybakina's got no interest in playing a third set because she's already through. And if Keys loses it, then I think Keys will pretty much be thinking about getting on the plane home. So I think it's almost certain that under 2.5 sets is the way that game's going to go tomorrow.
So there we go. There's the other part of the daily double. Elena Rybakina against Madison Keys under 2.5 sets at -250, and the daily double pays +131. So that is the daily double from the WTA finals tomorrow. Before we look at some of the men's matches, just a reminder, we want to get your thoughts and comments. We're also on social media at Because We Win. And if you like what you hear on our shows, you can sign up for our newsletter, get exclusive tips and the free Insider magazine. Sign up for free at www.bettingweeklystudios.com. There's the promo out of the way, and just seeing that message from, I think, Mandeep Singh on Rybakina to win 2 sets to love. And that was the way I thought you might go, but you did explain why under 2.5 sets, because you thought if Keys wins the first set, she'll probably win the second. But yeah, it's tricky, isn't it, matches like these, because there's not too much to play for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'm right. Rybakina is guaranteed to top the group as well, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
So again, if she can go and lose 2-0 tomorrow, knowing she's topped the group, and it's happy days for her. And there's very little motivation for whoever loses this first set here tomorrow to sort of dig in and win the second and go in 3 sets. I mean, I think I did see there's obviously a monetary value, but these players I don't think are overly concerned about that. They'll be more concerned about, if it's Keys, probably going home, and if it's Rybakina, it's conserving energy for the semi-final. And she'll find out whether she plays Sabalenka or Goff or Pegula, I suppose, or any one of them.
Yeah, I suppose it's more likely to be Goff or Pegula. I don't know if Sabalenka's won the group yet, but should be close to it. Let's go back to live action briefly. Still on serve between Novak Djokovic and Alejandro Tabilo. It's 4 games apiece, 15 all on the Tabilo serve. Djokovic -530, Tabilo 360. Spread is still 3.5 games and totals 23.5. Just a thought. Why is Djokovic playing this tournament? It seems a bit odd.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think his brother is the tournament director there, so whether he's had it penciled in for a while, and I think I read somewhere he is actually relocating to Athens with his family, so that might play a part in it as well. Whether he's just relocating, that's going to be his full-time base, or whether he's just got a holiday home there, or I'm sure he's got plenty of holiday homes scattered all over the planet. He's not shy of a few quid, is he? But I think maybe a couple of things there about the relocation, perhaps, and also with his brother being a tournament director. I pretty much imagine he's been sort of begging him to play for them as soon as he found out this was the case. So, and obviously he hasn't played a huge amount of tennis, but like you say, he's got ATP finals coming up. Whether he wants to just play a couple of matches and get prepped for that, or whether he wants to look to go all the way. But obviously, if he does go all the way, it's going to be a quick fly over to Turin and maybe a bit of gas taken out of the tank. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes. But obviously, he's got to get by Tabilo first. I mean, I can imagine you can probably count on one hand the amount of players on the circuit that Novak Djokovic is yet to win a set against.
Oh, and Tabilo is one of them, is he? Goodness.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, they've played twice, and he's 4 sets to love in front of Tabilo. So. Wow. Yeah, still looking to win his first set against the player on his third match. So yeah, I can't believe there's too many of them around.
Yeah, those two previous meetings were both on clay, which would
agreed.
Give
but I mean,
Tabilo. But still, it's still very, very impressive. That's one to tell the grandchildren about for Tabilo, who's just gone 5-4 in front, and he's now plus 295, and Djokovic minus 400. Probably worth looking. I wonder if Tabilo can keep that record going. We want to see what Tabilo in straight sets would be. Just having a look here.
I think Djokovic should have minus 500 to start the game. So
yeah, so
probably at a double figure price, I would guess.
Yeah,
maybe slightly shorter now. It's 5-4, but
yeah, no. It's quite an incredible record, that, for Alejandro Tabilo. And now Djokovic serving to stay in that first set. He might get a few flashbacks of those two previous defeats. In the other match going on right now in Metz, the all-Italian affair, Flavio Cobolli is on top. He's a break up 3-1, and actually he could break again now because Sonego is love 30. In the 5th game of the first set. Cobolli is minus 345 and Sonego plus 255. The spread now 4.5 games. So Cobolli
probably enjoying the conditions a little bit there more than Sonego, I'd imagine, right now.
Yeah, that does appear to be the case. Let's have a look at some of tomorrow's action on the men's side, and we'll look at Metz first of all. We've got an all-French affair in the last 16. Dan Aded against Kyrian Jacquet. Aded there plus 138, Jacquet minus 175. Totals 22.5 games. Now Aded is ranked 204 in the world, and he won their only previous meeting in the Saint-Tropez Challenger in September, 6-2, 6-4. Jacquet is ranked 156. Now, Aded was a lucky loser and got a bye through to the last 16, so a very lucky loser indeed. Jacquet, he came through round 1, defeating Luca van Asch in 3 sets yesterday. I mean, just based on that previous meeting in September, Aded surely looks a big price here.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just like you say, just the one meeting to go on. But I think that service points, 1 return points, 1 total. He led that day 115 to 85. So
that's convincing.
So a dominant victory, also on a hard court. And I think that day Aded was a plus 150 chance, and Jacquet was a minus 200 chance. So again, Jacquet slightly bigger at minus 175, and Aded slightly shorter. But yeah, I think you'd want to be pretty brave going in at minus 175. And a very interesting match this for a few reasons. Obviously, you've got they've both lost these guys, but obviously Cam Norrie obviously plays this evening as well, and the winner of of this will meet the winner of Cam Norrie's match tonight, and so a big opportunity for whoever wins that match too, because you'd like to think it's almost, I'm not going to say it's a bye to the semi-finals, but I mean Norrie, I think it's Norrie playing Cazaux tonight, isn't he?
That's right. Yeah, we can have a look at it here. Cazaux plus 102.
So a huge interesting for them. So in the quarterfinals, they're going to be playing players ranked sort of high in the world compared to where these guys are. So you'd like to think whoever wins this match with the Norrie Cazaux match tonight is pretty much going to be in the semi-final. Obviously, it's not certain. They'll still have to play Aded or his opponent tonight. And but yeah, a real opening for one of those two tonight. I think they'll be looking at this match thinking this is a real chance for me. So I've been quite impressed with Cam Norrie as well. I watched him last night. He did well to come through in the end. He probably should have won in straight sets. He had plenty of chances to take that second set, but it ended up going to a tiebreak. And as often happens, the player who's been the better player in the actual set ends up losing the tiebreak and has to go on. But he regrouped and got a break early on in that third set and held out to the end. So yeah, pretty interesting from Norrie. Obviously, he'll have the crowd against him tonight, which he had last night. And if he does win tonight, he'll end up playing 3 Frenchmen in a row. So tough for him, but yeah, I think he should have his chances tonight. But yeah, a real carrot for them with that match tonight. Obviously, looking not quite a bye through to the semis, but certainly an open path.
Yeah, looking at that Cazaux Norrie. Sorry, if we could look at that Cazaux Norrie match again. I mean, based on what these two players have done of late, obviously Norrie beating Carlos Alcaraz last week, incredible win, and he's suddenly found some form, hasn't he? I mean, is there a case for saying that -125 looks a bit big about Norrie?
Yeah, I mean, potentially these guys just met the once, and that was obviously in Shanghai not so long ago. And Norrie got the better in 3 sets there, having sort of, I think, whitewashed in the second set. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I was quite impressed with Norrie there yesterday. I think the conditions here are suiting him. Fairly slow, reasonably high bouncing court, similar to Paris last week, where we saw some pretty good stuff from him. Obviously, lost that match against Vassaro, but I actually thought he was a little bit of an unlucky loser that day. He played some pretty good stuff, and there was a few moments in the match where Vassaro counted himself a little bit fortunate, I think, and Vassaro was full of compliments for Norrie's game. So yeah, and Norrie actually made the final here last year, losing to Bonzi in the final. So he's got good memories, and like I said, a real opening for one of these two. And I'd be looking for Norrie to sort of to walk through that door and hopefully push on to at least another semi-final this week.
Yeah, so let's go back to tomorrow's action in Metz. So we looked at Aded Jacquet, learner Tien against Moez Echargui, the veteran Tunisian. Another very lucky loser, Echargui, because he was a lucky loser in qualifying and then got a bye through to round 2, like Aded. Learner Tien had to play in round 1. He beat French wildcard Hugo Blanchet 6-3, 6-3 yesterday. This is their first meeting. No surprise that Tien is a heavy favourite at -$10. Echargui is $6. And, you know, Echargui ranked 140 in the world, Tien 38. Totals 19.5 games. I mean, on paper, it looks like a comfortable night's work or comfortable day's work for Tien, doesn't it?
Yeah, it should be. Again, like a left-hander there. Echargui is going to have his work cut out here. He hasn't won back-to-back matches for his last 9 matches, and I think he's probably, as the odds suggest there, he's going to have his work cut out here. I think the spread was 5.5. Tien giving up. Again, on a slightly slow court. Obviously, Echargui, he has lost here already, but he has played a couple of matches, so he's used to conditions. I think a difficult game to have a strong opinion on. Obviously, Tien should be coming through comfortably, but yeah, probably not a game I'd want to be financially getting involved in, I don't think.
Yeah, moving on, Clement Tabur, another local player, ranked 243 in the world. He's up against Alexandre Blockx, the Belgian. Tabur +125, Blockx -162. Tabur caused a bit of a surprise yesterday, beating Alexander Kovacevic 6-3, 6-2. That was after coming through qualifying. Blockx was made to work against Francesco Passaro, came through 6-4 in the third. I mean, Tabur looks like he may well have found a bit of form here. He could be a man who's obviously relishing playing in front of a home crowd.
Yeah, a decent victory there against Kovacevic, and certainly spurred on by the home crowd. No, the French players have got a great record here. I think they've won, I think, maybe 8 of the last 10 tournaments here, French players. So certainly a positive for Tabur there. And like you said, should be full of confidence coming off that victory against Kovacevic. But Block another player in good form. I think he's won 7 of his last 8 matches. Obviously a few at lower levels, but a pretty decent victory for Blockx today, coming through in 3 sets there. But yeah, maybe Tabur plus 125 could look a little bit of value there, obviously, with the French players having such a great record here, and obviously having the home crowd on his side. So yeah, Tabur with that victory under his belt and attuned to conditions with the crowd behind him, yeah, plus money might look a bit of a play on him.
And one more match to look at in Metz. Hugo Gaston, another French player, against Daniel Altmaier, the German. And the bookies can't split them. Minus 110, the pair. Gaston came through against fellow Frenchman Terence Atman a couple of days ago in the round of 32. Pretty comfortably. 6-4, 6-1. Whereas Altmaier, he caused a bit of a surprise. I think it may have been earlier today against Arthur Rinderknecht, who has obviously reached the final in Shanghai not so long ago. Altmaier, the underdog there, but came through 6-4, 6-4. How do you assess this one?
Yeah, I watched a bit of that match, and I was quite impressed with Altmaier. He had sort of last week's final, Felix Auger-Aliassime on the ropes in Paris there last week, taking that first set and pretty much having a good chance of going a break up in the third set before just coming unstuck a bit. But in decent form, beat Ruud there in Paris last week. Like I say, beat Rinderknecht there today. Probably enjoyed the conditions a little bit more than Rinderknecht did, I think. But again, Gaston's going to have the crowd behind him again here. But obviously, Altmaier's already beaten a Frenchman here already this week. That'll give him confidence. And with conditions in his favour, I think probably a tight match here. I'd be leaning towards overs. Obviously, Gaston won their only meeting on the clay in 3 sets, so comfortably cashing the overs there. So I think both players will sort of have their moments here. I think the crowd might well play a part too. So I could see Altmaier starting strong and perhaps Gaston sort of getting into the game the more the match goes on. So I think overs would be where I'd be looking here.
Okay, let's just check in on the in-play action going on right now, and it's one-way traffic in Metz. Flavio Cobolli 5-1 in front against Lorenzo Sonego. Sonego serving to stay in that first set. He is 15 love, but he's plus 335. He's just gone to plus 310 as he goes 30 love, and Cobolli minus 420. Spread now 5.5 games. In Athens, still going with serve. Djokovic serving at 5-6. He's 15 love on his serve against Alejandro Tabilo. Not Djokovic now minus 435 and Tabilo plus 310. So that one looking like a tight affair. Can Djokovic win his first set in 3 matches against Alejandro Tabilo? We'll stick with Athens. We've got one match coming up later today in Athens between Eliot Spizzirri and Nuno Borges. And Spizzirri, American, up against the Portuguese. No previous meetings. Spizzirri came through in 3 sets against Laszlo Djere yesterday, and Borges, he beat a Greek player, Sakellarides, in straight sets a couple of days ago. Spizzirri plus 128, Borges minus 157. Spreads 2.5 games, totals 22.5. Borges ranked 47 in the world. Spizzirri 96. Do you think this looks about right odds-wise, Tim?
Yeah, I think the prices look about fair to me. Obviously, Spizzirri's come through qualifying. He's played 3 matches here already. But Borges got a confidence-boosting win in his first round, having been beaten in his first round matches in Vienna and in Paris. So he'll be glad to get a victory under his belt and try and find some confidence from that. And I mean, at this stage of the tournament, at this stage of the year, so Borges should be looking to this as an opportunity to get a victory under his belt here and progress a bit more. But yeah, -157 probably about right, and Spizzirri, yeah, +120. I think they probably have that marked pretty much right, really. So yeah, I think Borges probably looks fair to me. I think he'll probably take the beating, but yeah, I think the prices are about right. Not a huge amount of value there to be going either way, and not a game I'd have a strong opinion on. So yeah, I think I'll be keeping my powder dry on that bet.
Okay, let's look at some of tomorrow's matches in Athens. Alexandre Muller against Tomas Martin Etcheverry for starters. Muller +125 and Etcheverry -162. The spread 1.5 games, totals 22.5, and these two met back in February in Rio de Janeiro, where Muller won in straight sets there on clay. And okay, I would think, I don't know too much about either of these two players, but Muller beating Etcheverry on clay and now meeting on hard, I think that would give Muller maybe a bit of an advantage, perhaps, because I don't know, Etcheverry looks a short price to me.
Yeah, I think so. And Etcheverry came through a long 3-set match today. I'm not sure anyone of you following Nigel out there on Instagram account, but I think he put up Etcheverry in play, and I think he was cheering him on for a lot of that match today. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, check that out, because yeah, a few interesting stories on the Instagram account. But yeah, Muller, he did well. He saved a match point here against Struff yesterday, also in 3 sets. But took a set off Auger-Aliassime in Paris there last week. Had his chances there, beat Nakashima. And I think with that Etcheverry having that sort of long match today, and Muller sort of having the day off in between, that sort of might stand him in good stead. Obviously, again, we spoke about the French players' records here, so yeah, just looked a fraction on the big side to me there. I thought I agree with you there, or I think I expect him to be a little bit shorter. So I think as far as a value play goes, he looks the one to side with.
Yeah, I should say that a lot of the matches, some of the matches in Metz and Athens tomorrow, have been covered in depth by Nigel Seeley and Sean Calvert on Game Bet Match ATP. So I would recommend, as soon as you finish watching this, you go over to that and get
I think any of the matches
ideas.
we haven't covered, like Stankovic and Musetti match, I think the Bublik game as well over in Metz. Yeah, if you want to, I think they've in depth covered those, so that's why we haven't spoke about them, because they've been covered. But yeah, if you want Sean's opinions on that, that'll be on the podcast.
Certainly will. Moving on, Brandon Nakashima, we just mentioned him a few moments ago, against fellow American Marcos Giron. Nakashima -162, Giron +125. These two pretty familiar with each other. They did meet recently in Chengdu, if I'm not mistaken, in the quarterfinals. Nakashima winning in 3 sets, and he leads the head-to-head 3-1. Giron, Nakashima, I think he's had a bye to this point. The last 16. Sorry, beg your pardon. Nakashima's had a bye to this point. Giron came through against Pedro Martinez very comfortably, 6-4, 6-1. Any view on this one, Tim?
I think conditions probably not suiting either player massively. Giron got a confidence boosting win again there, like we spoke earlier, about against Martinez, because he found victories difficult to come by lately. He lost a close one there against Shapovalov last week, which actually cost me a little bit of money, unfortunately for me. Having a match point too, I've had a few of those lately, but they come and go. And Giron probably, as most of our viewers know, not the most the one probably to have your house on a match point up. He can freeze a little bit, Giron. So yeah, if I was leaning towards having a bet in this match, it would probably be overs because, like I said, I'm not sure conditions are really suiting each man. And obviously, I think the last match went overs on the totals in Chengdu there. And I think with the conditions probably not being in either man's favour, that's probably where I'll be looking towards. But yeah, getting too heavily involved on Americans at this stage of the season indoors when both probably have their sort of one eye on getting home, but obviously one of them's got to win. So yes, a small lean would be overs, but only a small lean. I think this match could really go either way.
And the final match for us to look at, Yannick Hanfmann against Vit Kopriva. Now, Kopriva came through qualifying, and it's a hard task breaking the Riley Opelka serve, but he managed it at least twice, beating the giant American in straight sets yesterday. So that was Kopriva against Riley Opelka. Yannick Hanfmann got the better of Bulgarian player Ivan Ivanov in straight sets. Bulgarian wildcard ranked outside the world's top 900. So that wasn't much of a test. But Hanfmann did come through qualifying.
Yeah, he's the junior Wimbledon and US Open champion, though, that Ivan Ivanov.
Okay.
I was actually, when I went to Wimbledon this year, I was actually on one of the outside courts in the morning before play got underway on the centre court and court one, and I watched him play his first round junior match actually, and I think he was 7th seed for the tournament, and it was completely by chance that we ended up watching him, and he actually went on to go all the way. So certainly a player you're probably going to hear more of, but stepping up in levels there against Hanfmann, he just found it coming all a bit too quickly. But yes, certainly need to keep out that Ivan Ivanov, the young lad from Bulgaria. But yeah, a solid win there for Hanfmann. He's sort of, like I said, he's come through qualifying, like you said, winning 3 matches. I don't think Kopriva had much to beat there against what looked like a pretty injured Riley Opelka, and not the sort of big serving, quick conditions Opelka. I'm not sure you're quite going to see him break serve too often there, but I think Hanfmann, the odds have it about right there, -250 plus 175. I don't think he beat a huge amount in Opelka there. So maybe the totals Hanfmann, but still the giving up the 3.5 is still sort of quite heavy minus money there at 137. So yeah, maybe again the totals if you're looking at the handicap there in Hanfmann's favour, but I think a close call there. Obviously Hanfmann had those couple of rounds and more of a confidence boosting victory against what is a decent young player. I think that'll be proven in the future if you keep an eye on that Ivanov going forward, because he's obviously a kid with a lot of talent. But probably I think we've got stronger opinions on other games rather than this one, I think, for tomorrow.
Okay, before we go, we'll check in on the live action, and it looks like Djokovic might finally win a set against Alejandro Tabilo. He's 4-2 up in the tiebreak against the Chilean. Djokovic -670, Tabilo +450, and over in Metz, Cobolli a set up against fellow Italian Lorenzo Sonego, and Cobolli -625 to complete victory. Sonego +430. Before we go, Tim, let's recap your daily double.
Yeah, nothing out of this world like we did last week, trying to get the daily double to cash. Obviously, slightly shorter prices, but we're going to go for Anisimova +1.5 sets at -155, or just to win a set. Obviously, the same bet there, and we'll tie it in with under 2.5 sets in the Keys versus Rybakina game at -250. But if they both come in, the parlay pays +131. So I think a fairly confident one there. Going forward, they look to be fairly obvious selections to me. I'd be very surprised if that Keys Rybakina game went 3 sets tomorrow. That would be the biggest shock of the day in my book.
Fingers crossed for that one, and fingers crossed if you're getting involved. Tim, always good to speak to you. I'm sure we'll chat again next week. Thank you all for watching. Good luck with your wagers, and we'll see you again soon on Betting Weekly Tennis Live.